Hi everyone, so it's been a while since my sewing update, and that's because I've had the Christmas holidays, so I've been working on projects for myself because I've had enough time to sit down and actually sew clothing. So I just wanted to show you the two dresses that I've been working on before I get back to my normal kind of service of sewing. So these are both made from scrap store fabric, and if you've not been to a scrap store, they basically sell off old but perfectly good fabric from shops or clothing companies, and they sell it off a bit cheaper than it would have cost you to buy it, well, quite a lot cheaper than it would have cost you to buy it normally. So this is a really thick knit fabric, this one, and it's a dress with big old sleeves, and there's like a gathered detail on the front here which is hard to see in this light. The fabric for this dress cost me £3 a metre, so that entire dress there cost me £6, sorry, to make. And the same thing for this one. This is also scrap store fabric, a different store though. I don't even know what this fabric is. This is actually the practice version for this dress, but I really like it, so I may not actually end up making the real version. It's got nice pleats in the front here, and it looks really nice on as far as I'm concerned. It's got a invisible zipper in the back as well, which I'm quite proud of because it is pretty much invisible. And I think that this dress, with the zip and everything, has cost me about, I'm going to guess about £4 to make, because the fabric for this one was a really odd shape, so they just basically gave me more than they were expecting to. So those are the dresses that I've made on this holiday so far. The one on the left is really, really warm and it's good to be wearing now, and the one on the right I'm looking forward to wearing in the spring when I can actually show it off and I don't have to wear it under a really thick jumper. So now I'm about to get back in the sewing room and back onto sewing a couple of new characters that I've been commissioned to make, and I will show you how they progress. As another little distraction before I actually start sewing, I thought I would show you this, which is one of my Christmas presents from my mum. So when my mum and I bought our sewing machines from sewingmachinesdirect.com, which is an excellent company that I really recommend if you're here in the UK, my sewing machine was already a bargain, it was already half price, and then they sent me a huge amount of threads and also some really nice scissors, a set that looked like this, as freebies when I placed my order. And until recently, all of those threads have been stored in this, which is an irregular choice shoebox that I've had since I was about 18. Nothing wrong with that, I really like it. I'm going to continue to use it for something else, I've no doubt, but you can see that it was getting pretty strained under the weight of all these threads. So my mum has bought me this for Christmas, and I didn't ask for it, it's a total surprise. I think she's wanting one for herself. And so you can see here I have pretty much tried to organise it by rainbow, but these are all of the larger ones here. These spools are the threads that I got free, and then anything else in between is something that I've bought over the years. And then this is the corresponding bobbin case, which constantly I would be dropping this on the floor and the bobbins go everywhere and they're an absolute nightmare. So thankfully those also fit in the same case just about, and there's a lid on it so it keeps everything nice and secure, and it means I can see exactly what I've got and when I want to use it. So definitely an unexpected but a really nice Christmas present that's been very helpful. So the character I'm working on right now as a commission for someone is one of the octopuses. So I'm doing a practice run through of the pattern because obviously I've never made one before, so this is a practice Marina, although the final commission isn't a Marina. And it's taken me a while to think about how I want to do the head for this particular character, and I think what I'm actually going to do is take my pig pattern, which you can see here, and adapt it by just extending the snout portion, this bit, into a longer shape. And then the plan is to make the kind of open mouth sucker shape on the mantle of the octopus. I'm going to then push that back inside and stitch up the opening on the inside so you get that kind of tube shape. Not sure how it's going to go. I'm going to add on about 10% of the size just to get the size to be right, and I'll fill you in when I've got a result. So this is what I meant about adding just a little bit of length to what was the pig pattern and what is now hopefully going to be the octopus pattern. And all I've done is add guesswork, a couple of centimetres onto the front of the pattern pieces for the snout, and then hopefully that will be enough to turn it back in on itself and make the sucker face for the octopuses. So hopefully you can see here, actually I think the body's turning out quite nicely. So this is completely unstuffed. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get away with in these tentacles here. This is the opening that I'll stuff the body through once I've got the head and arms attached. But actually I'm pretty pleased with that for the first attempt. The only thing I am thinking is, are there meant to be only 6 tentacles down here and then the extra pair is the arms? But that's something I can work out at a later stage, so all good so far. You know what, I'm pretty darn happy with that. So this is the result of Marina. Actually her head is not so out of proportion as I thought, but I think I may still take it down a little bit and maybe shorten her body a little bit. But you can see here she's got all of her tentacles all stitched up. She's fully stuffed. I've just got her arm tentacles to finish, and I want to do her face details and stitch around her mouth so that she doesn't have like an uneven pucker in her mouth. Finish her shirt, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with that, and it means that I can move on to the Zucker that I was actually commissioned to make. So pretty successful day. Wobble, wobble, wobble. So the package for my latest commission has just arrived. I always use the same place to order my felt from, which is the Wool Felt Company. So a few things in here are personal. Sorry, shaky camera, I'm having to open the package with one hand. It would have been easy to do this differently. Anyway, some of this is for sewing characters. So for example, this is for the Zucker that I've been commissioned to make. I bought some white because I'm always running out of white. I have got, I think this was peach or apricot because it's going out of stock. And I thought it was a really nice pale orange shade. And then I also have this bright yellow because I noticed when I completed Henry that was the last of my yellow. And then underneath I have this thick felt, which is for a personal project. I'm going to try and make a wallet with this as the outside. So this is 3mm felt, and then these are all 1mm, which is what I usually use to make my characters. So the company is really good, and if you spend £20 you get free shipping, so I tend to save up and then get a few bits and pieces from the sale or special offer bit as well, just to make up that extra bit of money. So I'm working on Zucker right now, and I've just finished sewing together his body, which is here, and I have sewn and stuffed his head. I'm going to try and just run a simple running stitch around his mouth to take out some of the puckers that I was concerned about with my my Marina, who was the practice version for this, because she still has quite an uneven mouth. So he doesn't have any facial details, but he is stitched up and ready to go, and I will probably take him downstairs to do it. I've decided with him I think I'm going to do pen for the source that's on top of his head and also on his shirt, which is this here. So for that I normally use Copic markers, but Copic markers aren't 100% permanent. So one of the ways that you can increase how permanent they are is actually by applying some heat to them, which on some dolls what I've done is I've heated them up right at the very end, so I've basically put them in the oven on a very low heat, but with this one, because I've remembered to do this before stitching the doll together, I can actually just use a normal iron here, moving it around quite a lot because I don't want to crimp the felt too much, and just iron over the felt a little bit with a dry iron to seal the colour in and make it less likely that it's going to run or fade in the future. So they're both nearly done now. I'm at a position where I can move downstairs, although I haven't finished his arms. I'd like to get his face finished downstairs where I'm warm and comfortable and I can use my TV. And I think I'll finish Marina at the same time so that they can be photographed together. So it's a couple of days later and I have just finished these two. So I decided I wanted to finish them together so I could photograph them together, and actually I'm pretty pleased. As you can see, these guys actually stand independently. So this is the Marina. She was the practice run, so she's not entirely perfect. I'll be listing her in my Etsy shop as a sample, I think. She's still really cute. It's just that I would have changed her mouth because she actually has a white ring around her mouth, and stitch that slightly differently, and then she doesn't have a white base or white under her arms because obviously I was purely designing pattern when I was making her, but she's still got a head wobble and she still stands up on her own on her tentacles, and I'm really pleased with the design. There you go. And then this is the Zucker, who's the actual commission, and again you can see he's got a really nice head wobble. I obviously was a lot more careful with the colours on this guy, so he's got the right colour base, and then I've added the sucker details with pen, and the same on his arms here, which do move like all my others. This part of the top is pen, but then I decided with his head, although I'd originally thought about doing pen and there's some pen work underneath, which I need to just finish stitching and gluing the cap over, I decided to switch to doing a cap so it looked like proper thick sauce pouring over his head, which I believe is what it's meant to be. I thought the pen was going to be too streaky, so in the end I just left it as being like shading underneath the sauce rather than like finishing off colouring in the head. His mouth, you can see, is a bit more even than Marina's was. He's got his little green freckles in his eyes and this little stick coming out the top of his head. But yeah, all in all, I'm really pleased with this pattern. It seems to be very successful. It's one I was worried about having to make, but I'm really quite happy with it. So I think that's going to conclude my sewing for this week. I have got a Marshall to finish, and other than that, I am pretty low on commission, so I think I will be starting some new pattern designs and make the most of this little break in my normal commission process. So yeah.